What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. Can you kind of feel that in the air right now? Because it feels like we might be getting into that Nintendo Direct speculation anticipation part of January already. Yeah, it's already starting up. A lot of that has to do with some SKUs or some stock keeping units that appear to have shown up now in GameStop's computer system. However, we have to talk a bit about that as they appear to have been there for a bit longer than, yesterday. And then we also have to talk a bit about Hideki Kamiya as he had some interesting choice words for the Switch and its home screen, although we do have a pretty good translation about it, so we'll kind of go over that one. And then also Dragon Quest 12? It looks to be in development. All that and more today, guys. As always, if you enjoy these videos, make sure you hit that like button. It does help out a lot. You guys have been doing that a lot, and it has been helping out the videos quite a bit, so I do appreciate that. Make sure you subscribe down below if you are new here as we roll along towards 400,000 subscribers. Little red button and the bell icon down there. Today, actually, we're going to start with the PlayStation Plus games for January, and there are technically 4 games, although one of them is a collection and the other one is just a single game. The collection is the Nathan Drake Uncharted collection that has Uncharted 1, 2, and 3 in it, and for the most part, I feel like most people who have a PlayStation probably bought that collection because it's been like $10, even been less than that at times, which, by the way, if you've never played the Uncharted series, that already is a very good deal for 3 really good games, right? And you can just play through all of them and then roll into Uncharted 4 and then, Lost Legacy. I mean, there's a lot of Uncharted to enjoy on the PlayStation 4. And the other one is Goat Simulator, which is all right, sure, okay, but that, I mean, it's random, right? Uncharted at least makes sense, but Goat Simulator's kind of just thrown in there. I mean, starting January 7th, you can download them and play them, and then it goes until February 3rd where they're no longer available to download. So at least make sure if you don't have either of those games or one or the other, just go in there and at least download it and add it to your library so you have access to it going forward. Also, a little while ago, we had talked about Metro Redux going to the Switch after there being a retail listing for it that popped up. Well, we have a bit more evidence of that actually being a thing as it's been rated. Yeah, check this out. This is rated by Peggy, of course, Peggy.info, with Metro Redux by Koch Media, GmbH, and that is, of course, rated 18, which makes sense, for the Nintendo Switch. They have a release date of December 31st, 2019. Obviously, that's not the correct release date because we are in 2020 now, but that would make sense after already seeing a retail listing. I remember, we found out about Witcher 3 through a retail listing, and here we are now. We found out about Redux, which has Metro 2033 and Metro Exodus in one bundle, and the fact that it's being rated could also mean that we will probably see it physically as well, which will be pretty cool to see that pop up on a cartridge, although I'm wondering if one game will be on the cartridge and the other one will be a download. That's most likely what will happen, but hey, I've been surprised before with some of the cartridges that some companies will use, specifically, again, Witcher 3 using that big cartridge, but this one might be a bit more of a budget title in terms of pricing. We'll have to see, though. However, we're going to be talking about the Nintendo Direct anticipation, so this seems like one that we could actually see being announced relatively soon. Oh, and if you have the Epic Game Store already downloaded and installed on your computer for any one reason, whether you maybe like the store or maybe you needed to download it to get a game of some kind and then you just closed it down and kind of moved on, you might want to go back and at least take a look, as Epic has been giving away games for the past couple of days now, for a while actually. We've had like Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Lair given away on there. Well, right now until the 9th, you can actually download Darksiders 1, 2, and then Steep. Those are just like, you just go on there and you download them. It's free. You can just have them. And I do like what's happening here, by the way, with the Epic Game Store versus Steam, as we see the competition that we've talked about before between consoles actually bleed over into PC, with just Epic giving away games to try to get you to use their store. That's good for us. I don't care how much it costs Epic to do that. I care that I get to click the download button and just get the game like straight up added to my library. Pretty cool, though. I still have some issues with the Epic Game Store and the features, well, lack thereof features. Although I will at least give them credit, they have been working to try to resolve some of that, but they're still missing some of the basics, and Steam is becoming more and more advanced every month as we go along. But hey, free games are free games. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get in the bigger stuff. Let's start with these Switch SKUs, or the stock keeping units that are mysteries currently, as they're just placeholder SKUs right now for the Switch in GameStop's computer system. Now, we've seen this before. And a lot of times it does eventually lead to some sort of event from Nintendo. Usually it's a direct. Sometimes it's like an Indie World. We've seen that like once or twice, but a lot of times Indie World, of course, does lead into a direct of some kind, as that's basically what's happened like every time. Like at least a month or so later, we see a direct, sometimes within weeks. So it is interesting to see this pop up. However, we're going to take a look at a few instances here of this because it's actually older than what you may realize right now. So let's take a look at this. Go Nintendo picked it up on Twitter, where we had Kamiya actually say GameStop system doing its usual pre-direct new SKU listings, and that is with 12 different SKUs that are listed there as available SKU, NSW, or Nintendo Switch. However, back on November 24th, it was also posted by Switch Dean on Twitter of the exact same number of SKUs or stock keeping units in GameStop's computer system. So these have actually been sitting around seemingly for a while now, and they were just tweeted out yesterday again by another Twitter user, to the point where it got picked up much more, and of course it started to spread. And what are we all thinking now? We're thinking a direct of some kind. And the fact that these have been in there for longer than people are realizing, because a lot of time people see these pop up and they say, okay, we got a couple weeks, we got a month maybe even before the direct starts to happen, gets announced and all of that, and we'll have some time to kind of, get to it and speculate and all of that. But they've been in there for over a month now, and we have that network maintenance next week. So now, of course, people are speculating that there could be a direct next week. So I do think that there will be a Nintendo Direct in January. I still think it might be the first half of January. So next week is still on the table, of course, until we get through next week. Could it be next Wednesday or Thursday? Yeah, I think it could, actually, and they would probably announce that on Monday, which is probably when I would look for it. I don't think it would be announced on, today or even Friday, although I say that now and watch Newswave goes up and, oh, look, the Direct's already been announced, right? Yeah, that always happens anyway, so maybe it has. Otherwise, though, Monday probably is when they would announce it for, like, a Wednesday, right? Give a day buffer, or maybe it does fall to the next week. January, though, is when we generally expect a Direct, although it has fallen into February before, so that wouldn't necessarily shock me, but outside of Animal Crossing, and of course, we do have Tokyo Mirage Sessions coming up as well this month. It's kind of lean, I guess, from Nintendo themselves, so I feel like they would want to set up this year, outside of even No More Heroes, to get things rolling. And of course, having 12 SKU stock keeping units at GameStop means that those would be the physical games that they would stock, not necessarily any digital only games. Remember we had that Kirby kind of free to start game that went up? That wouldn't be counted, I guess, by GameStop, since it's just a download, or even like how we had Fortnite before, although they eventually had these weird little boxes you could buy that had like the coupon in there. But looking at this, yes, a lot of this is pointing to a Direct coming up. Of course, we have the history, and now we have 12 stock keeping units at GameStop that could be pointing to quite a few reveals, and it's exciting. I mean, this is an exciting time, right? So yeah, have fun speculating, and we'll probably be doing that on the podcast this weekend as well. Just trying to think up a few things. I mean, we just saw Metro. I mean, Metro Redux seems to be, I think, a lock anyway for the next Direct, since, it's been rated. They don't just rate things for fun. So we'll look forward to that one. That'll be pretty cool to see that on the Switch. And then what could Nintendo have for us? That is the exciting part, and hopefully we won't have to wait long to find out. Next up, let's talk about WWE 2K20, which has been a train wreck since it came out. Just overall, it was, I mean, it's funny at least. Like, that's the thing. It's not broken to where it's just frustrating and nothing else. It is frustrating for people who bought it, but I think a lot of people who are playing it kind of go through it and they go, well, at least it's funny. I mean, you see some of the stuff posted online is absolutely ridiculous that they put the game out in that state. They have been trying to patch it and fix it, but wouldn't you know it, they can't get out of their own way. So check this out. Of course, we had New Year's, that happened, so we go from 2019 to 2020, and it appeared that there was some kind of issue with the game that would allow it not to go online or really start up when you tried to do that. It would actually crash back to your home screen if you're on like the Xbox like I was, which, believe it or not, this is funny, I decided to pop the game in to try it out. I picked it up on Black Friday for fairly cheap, and I said, you know what? Well, now's the day to try this thing out. Now's the night. And I was way off. I popped it in after we had Newswave ready to go, and I was like, oh, let this install and download, and then it just came up with an error, and I posted on Twitter. It was That's my luck, right? But it's 2K20. I don't even know I expected it to work in the first place. However, 2K has issued a tweet, an update that says that you can go on there, download an update, and it has fixed it. Seemed like it wasn't a massive thing, like a big game-breaking thing that they couldn't take care of. It just seemed like an oversight on their part, which, I mean, that summarizes the whole game anyway, I guess. But good news. Day of Reckoning 2 still worked on the GameCube in 2020. Next up, let's talk about Hideki Kamiya, of course, from Platinum Games, who we do know, of course, we've heard him talk about things like Bayonetta 3 and how the development is going well, and we're still need to see that, of course. But he had some interesting words to say about the Switch home screen. I like to think that he was just playing it, got mad at the home screen, and then decided to tweet about it, as, you know, a lot of us tend to do when different things happen on Twitter or in our daily life, and then we take to Twitter to vent. He decided to vent about the Switch home screen. Now, before it had to be translated, and I believe Nintendo Soup attempted to translate it, wasn't the best translation from what we were gathering out there, and it didn't look like it was exactly what he said, although it was believable because Kamiya is, we'll say, straightforward about things. Doesn't beat around the bush at all. He just goes, right? And he'll block people on Twitter and stuff. They respond to him. He actually had me blocked, and then he unblocked me. So he's not all bad. But let's take a look at the translation that was provided here. So this is from Push Dustin. Big shout out to him for taking care of this. Really appreciate it. Translated, the first tweet saying Switch's home screen has these huge thumbnails which are just lined up in a row. I'm really thankful to have all the games thrown in the all software screen. The people at Nintendo have used the Switch, right? Are they going to fix it? And then he tweeted again saying the people at Nintendo who made the Switch have played it, right? Like he just had to ask again, I guess. Looking at this, the home screen on the Switch needs help. Yeah, I can say that. Yeah, I think everyone can. Does anyone really go on the Switch and just look at it for the home screen and say, this is perfect? Not really. If you have more than, I don't know, 8 titles or something, it's not, because it does get thrown, as he's saying, into the all software thing. You go in there and you gotta scroll, especially if you have built up a library since launch, like myself, and I'm sure a lot of you have at this point. It is frustrating, and the biggest thing here would be folders. I mean, if we could just put folders on the home screen, right, that then takes you to games that you've bunched up together in some sort of category or a label that you put on it, that would fix probably most of that issue. Right? Like that would there. It does seem like Kamiya is referring to the very large pictures of the games that probably could have a setting to shrink them down, and then you have much more room to fit a ton of them. Basically, he's venting about the home screen like most of us probably think about when we look at it and go, oh man, I want to play Mario Odyssey. I haven't played it in a month, and now it's buried all the way at the bottom for all software. Yeah, it's an inconvenience, and it is frustrating to deal with. So maybe Nintendo, with that network maintenance, maybe they have something in mind for updates on features. I don't know. They have to fix the eShop and the way that looks, and the home screen, like I said, could use some help with organization. Here's hoping, though, Nintendo has that figured out. Maybe for the 3-year anniversary. I mean, we're already halfway through the system's life, and we're talking about the home screen being very, very basic and hard to navigate when it comes to just stockpiling games. I get that they want it to be fast, but can it be fast with just like folders? And in our last bit of news, let's talk about Dragon Quest 12. Of course, Dragon Quest 11S released on the Switch. Everyone really liked it that I've seen. The demo was awesome because it was like 10 hours long. But a lot of us were wondering what's next for the series, especially if you're like me and maybe you got it on the PS4 in 2017 and you're looking forward like, oh, okay, what's the next one in the series? I hope there is. There appeared, yeah, I think there will be. It's sold really well. Well, Yuji Ori actually wanted to let us know, the series creator, that the development for Dragon Quest 12 has actually already started. It started in 2019, which is great news. However, it probably will be a little while unless they maybe have taken something away from that Unreal Engine experience where they developed Dragon Quest 11 in Unreal Engine, and maybe they can carry that over to 12 if they go the same route there. Well, the fact that it started in 2019 and Dragon Quest 11 took roughly 4 years, that started in 2013 and went to 2017. If you remember, that was one of the first games that was announced, I believe, in 2015 for the NX at the time, which became the Switch, of course, and then it eventually came out. We could be looking at a very possibly a 2021-2022 release. The reason I say it could be 2021 is if the experience from developing with Unreal Engine helps them a bit into Dragon Quest 12, if they go that same route, and it helps them maybe fast track some of that stuff. But I'd rather them take their time because, I mean, Dragon Quest XI is a good game. It sticks to its traditional JRPG roots, and I really like that about it, and I hope they do something similar into Dragon Quest XII. I don't mind them doing some innovative stuff, and they did with Dragon Quest XI S, I would say, more so to a degree. But hey, I'm just up for more Dragon Quest. So if it does take till 2023, you know what? I'll be sitting there with my PS5 or my PC that's been upgraded, I guess, or hey, maybe the next Switch, ready for Dragon Quest 12. Exciting stuff there for Dragon Quest fans to know that Dragon Quest 12 is already underway. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day as you're seeing here. This one is from Awesome Astronaut saying, the Splatoon spinoff could be a full-on first-person shooter. And you know what? I actually think that could work. Now, Miyamoto has talked about before how he wouldn't mind trying to develop a first-person shooter if he can come up with some interesting, innovative ways to tackle that game. And while Miyamoto's not really into the whole violent nature of video games, you know, making like a Call of Duty or a Duke Nukem or something, he'd rather make a bit more, I guess, unique, more family-friendly style first-person shooter, essentially. And Splatoon would fit the bill, I think, for that very well. Now, I think you can do a spin-off and make it a first-person shooter and still have it kind of feel like Splatoon, but still feel new and different enough. I don't think you have to go that far out there like I was talking about yesterday, where it's like an RPG or a side-scrolling adventure game. Yeah, I think first-person shooter would work, and you know what? I would like to see Nintendo tackle that. I know we have things like Metroid Prime, but that's kind of its own thing. I'm thinking of Miyamoto sitting down with a team, internal Nintendo, and they work on a first-person shooter that deals with something like Splatoon. I think that'd be really cool just to see what they come up with, some of the weird, innovative ideas that they have around some mechanics that they could add into it, and they always come up with something crazy with these kind of games, so that would be really fun. And hey, you know what? I hope that's what they have planned, although I think it might just be more stuff being built off of Splatoon 2, but hey, who knows? Maybe that is even part of this Nintendo Direct coming up. That'd be pretty cool. And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it here for Newswave. Enjoyed this video, guys. Hit the like button, really helps out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about today, whether it is the Switch home screen, and do you think it should be changed? Do you like it how it is? Do you want it to stay the same? Let me know your opinion on that matter down below. And then also, what about these mystery SKUs, these stock keeping units for GameStop? They have 12 of them now. So, hey, what games do you think are there? What could be announced? Is Pikmin 4 finally going to show up? Is Metroid Prime Trilogy HD finally going to show? Probably not. With my luck, it probably won't. Thanks, guys, for watching, and I'll see you next time.